All right, check 1 2 test. Game 1 2. Welcome to another live broadcast. Today is Monday, September the 15th. We are halfway through the month of September already, y'all. But we're going to get right into it today. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Temperature right now is 98 degrees right here from the beautiful state of Arizona. Let me know in the chat what the temperature is where you are, if you care to do so. I'm always interested in that. Ever since we moved from the East Coast, I'm like, what is cool weather? I'm seeing some places they're already wearing their breaking out sweaters and jackets. I'm like, man, what is that? What is a jacket? I'm being funny because it does get cool out here too. But anyway, so glad that you guys can join us today. We're gonna dive in another very introspective conversation, y'all. I see what the trends are out there, and man, we trying to get through all of that, okay? So I need you to bear with me, all right, as we weave our way through this stuff. Good to see Dre in the house and Willie Rivers in the house and other people that'll be joining us soon. Big shout out to you guys. We're gonna give people about another minute and then we'll get started, okay? If you haven't done so already, make sure you check us out on our other channel, which is our Samba Tree. Well, we got a lot of channels, but I'm just mentioning the main ones. Samba Tree YouTube channel. Yeah, we got another one. We got another video. We've been on our series about the different parts of the brain. We're going to be touching on that in a moment. Yeah, so make sure you check that out. Just do a search for Samba Tree here on YouTube. We're also on TikTok. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Facebook on that. And yeah, because that's really where the answers lie when we're prioritizing our health and wellness. That's everything we talk about, even on this platform. That's where we're driving that too. We got to take care of ourselves first. You know what I mean? Before we start getting into all of this other stuff. What else is going on? Oh, there's always a lot going on. But anyway, about another 20 seconds and then we'll start, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. And like I said again, I hope you guys had a wonderful day. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And yeah, as we are moving closer and closer to fall season, which is a beautiful time of the year. And but either way, I don't care if it's fall, I don't care if it's summer, spring, whatever. Make sure you are getting outside and getting plenty of sunlight. Don't be entrapped surrounded by all these screens and stuff. I remember a while back, well, back in the day, Best Buy used to be my store. I used to love going in there and looking at all the latest stuff. I can't even tell you the last time I've been in a Best Buy. I literally can't even tell you. And the last time I was in it, I saw now these gamer screens. I guess they're gamer screens now. The ones that you seen, those joints that like wrap around. I was like, there's no way. There is no way you would catch me surrounding myself with all of that. Then you got your cell phones and you got your iPads and all of that. No, please don't do that. Make sure you're getting outside and getting some sunlight, y'all. Okay, especially for us heavily melanated people. You're not just doing this just because. You're doing this because this is needed in your life. I just uploaded a short over on our Samba Tree YouTube page and on our TikTok as well, talking about how you have to begin to prioritize yourself. That's not selfish, at all. That's not prideful. That's none of that. But when we're talking about prioritizing yourself, you got to start taking care of yourself. Like this weekend, my wife was like, you know what? I gotta, I need a mental health day. And she took it. And then once you come off of that, now you're in a much better position to deal with and to handle whatever it is that you got to deal with. The problem is many of us, we just stay working. You know what I mean? And we don't prioritize ourselves. So we got to make sure we're doing that. And when you're on social media, unfortunately, it doesn't give you the opportunity to do that. You literally scroll from one issue to the next issue, to the next issue, to the next issue, to the next issue. Your brain isn't designed for that. It isn't designed to go from one issue to the next issue to the next issue. But that's what they're trying to do, you know? And so I never forget, like I told you, I shared this before. There was a social media expert guy that I was listening to some time ago. He said social media, and it was follow up by some other stuff I was reading from, studies or whatever. This is something I want you to keep in mind, and this ties in the main topic of discussion this evening. Social media. Now, you may even want to write this down, but just mentally, you make a note of this. Social media is designed to push narratives. It is not designed to push new ideas. Let me say that again. Social media is designed to push what's trending and certain narratives. It is not here to promote new ideas. It is not designed for that. So in other words, there are a lot of people out here that think that I'm not following the crowd. But if you are an active user on social media, you are. You're following the crowd. Like it or not, you are following the crowd. And that's just how it's designed. And so if you are locked in on social media all the time and all your thinking and everything you do is wrapped around what's trending, you're not giving your brain the space to come up with new ideas. How do I get out of this loop? How do I get out of this loop of way of thinking where I'm always just doing the same thing over and over again? And that's what we're talking about a little bit this evening. How many of y'all are here? Like I said, wherever he's gone now, wherever he's gone now. I'm talking about Charlie Kirk. But this is no disrespect to him. I'm just tired of hearing his name right now. I don't know about you. I'm personally tired of, because I know it wasn't a week or so ago, nobody was really talking about him. Now, all of a sudden, he was threat number one to Black America. And I'm like, what is this? And I told you. I said, Black folks, I said, stay out of it. You ain't got nothing, ain't nothing there. There's literally nothing there. This dude, unfortunately, his life was ended by another white person on a predominantly white college campus in a predominantly white state. Black folks had nothing to do with that. I did a total of 2 videos last week warning Black folks. I said, listen, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, whatever. Just keep it moving. If you didn't like them then it's fine. And just leave it. Just leave it alone. That's it. Just leave it alone. But no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. What happened? You had Black folks, and this is exactly what I said was going to happen. You had Black folks from the east, the west, the north, and the south. It wasn't just, this is not about policing, and I'm speaking about me now, policing thoughts or policing words. See, for me, there's a time to say something, and there's a time to, just be like, whatever, and move on. Because sometimes you can reap the whirlwind and you don't have to reap the whirlwind. You understand what I'm saying? You don't really have to. Just keep it moving. But in this social media world, everybody feels like they must say something. And the examples, if you go to our community page, I showed you just in the last, few days, you have folks that, I'm talking Black folks. It's not that they were saying, listen to what I'm saying, y'all. I told you I am not a person that followed him. I am not a person that, I'm a conservative, I'm a bag of guy. No, I didn't vote for them. Okay. So don't even go anywhere near that. Okay. That's not me. But what I am about is if you're going to measure somebody, make sure you measure them correctly. You understand what I'm saying? I am about that. And so I made several appeals to black folks everywhere. I said, okay, you don't like the guy? Okay, cool. Fine with me. I don't care. I ain't lose any sleep either way. But okay, if you want to talk about it, tell me exactly what this man said that was so dangerous to the state of Black America. What exactly did this person say? I didn't get anything. I didn't get any response. Nothing. And I'm being honest. I'm pardon my ignorance. I don't listen to everybody. So out the gate, I was saying, this is not someone I really listened to. I just didn't. But you had people, and it's not so much, okay, you disagree with them. That wasn't even I didn't care about that. But what I was talking about were people, this is how dumb people were. You got all your social media stuff, all your personal information out here in social media land. I live in such and such, name your state. You got your state out there. You got your employee out there, who your employer is. You got all this info out here, and your comment and you're saying, yeah, don't just go after him. Make sure you take out his wife and his children too. And I'm sitting up here like, why would you say something like that? You know what I mean? I mean, if you disagree with him, okay, fine, cool. Okay, that's you. But you're going to, with all your data and information out there, you willing to take that chance. And it ain't just about him. It's just anybody. I don't care who it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I say something on social media or just, I am very, I ain't gonna say paranoid, but I don't even take chances when I'm taking pictures. Where's my camera? I got a camera. Okay, it's right here. This ain't a GoPro. This is an Osmo. The same thing. Now, this ain't on the internet. This is its own self-contained thing. When I hit record, I'm always like, okay, am I okay with hitting that record? Not that I'm doing anything crazy, but my point is I have to be very present of mind. If I'm going to say something and record it, I have to be present in mind, like, okay, am I okay with this going out? Am I willing to take the heat for saying that? This is the whole process that my mind goes through before I hit that record button or before I write that post. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people don't even do that. And so this is why you're seeing people left and right, I'm talking about particularly black folks, getting fired over this stuff. And I'm like, it didn't have to go that way. Now, am I out here saying, yeah, that's right, they need to fire him? I don't necessarily like that precedent. I don't. I wouldn't encourage that. I don't care who it was. I don't, not encourager of that someone should lose their job for, saying something on social media that people necessarily don't agree with. I think that's kind of a bit much. But here's the thing. You could say whatever you want. I was in Walmart today and I thought about this scenario. If I walked into Walmart and I said, y'all, there's a bomb somewhere up in here. Y'all better get up out of here. There's a bomb. And I'm screaming and hollering, telling people, there's a bomb out here. There's a bomb. And all y'all look stupid and tight. And I just started just all over the place, just saying some of the most crazy stuff. And I'm just insulting everybody, just saying whatever comes to my mind, right? Okay, you can do that. But guess what's the first line that's going to happen? Well, they're going to have their internal security going to say, get your butt up out of here. You can say what you want, but you can't say it up in here, right? So yes, you can say whatever you want, but if you are going to take that chance in an open crowd of various people who don't even know you, then you're going to get whatever repercussions that's going to come, right? I mean, that's just what happens. It's called, what do they call that? I think they call it life. Yeah, there you go. It's called life. Yeah, I wouldn't. So I'm going to be very careful. And if I'm going to say something in a public forum, I'm going to really think about that. Like, okay, am I willing to take whatever that comes with that? You understand what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm coming. I'm not at all. I'm just trying to make it ultra clear. I'm not saying y'all got to make sure that you respect this man and all. Nobody's saying that. I ain't saying that. You can disagree, agree. I don't care. I don't care. What I am saying is, before you hit that record button, you make sure you think about it. You understand what I'm saying? Before you do that post, make sure you think about it. A lot of y'all got it, actually. You know, we get comments from people all the time. Your name be like Gobbledygook 29 or something like that. And then you go and look at your profile and there's nothing there. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. If you're going to be saying some stuff, make sure you anonymous, okay? Make sure but otherwise you do not. But I'm talking about people who aren't anonymous. I mean, you look at their profile, they got their whole picture up there like this. Got their wife and kids out there, and then they the same ones talking about, yeah, kill them all. You know, and I'm like, okay, do you really want to go down this road? That's the people I'm talking about. But there's a lot of folks that are doing this, and I'm like, why are y'all injecting why are you crashing out like this over this? It's tragic, it's wrong, whatever, you know, but why would you crash out on something like this? But people are doing it. And then what they're doing is turning it like, see, they coming after us. They coming after black folks. And it's like, no, nobody was coming after black folks with this. Okay, so, and then I did a post on our community page. Make sure you check out our community page because I'm always posting stuff there. And on our community page, I talked about, because I knew it was going to go bonkers. And it did. It did, didn't it? They were talking about, what was they saying? HBCUs are under attack. They were saying HBCUs now under attack in the shadow of Charlie Kirk being, taken down, and now they're turning to black folks. And that was like, I said, oh Lord, okay, let me read what happened. I read the article. Everybody, 99.9% of the people going after the headline. I said, let me actually read the article. I read the article. You know what they said? They said, well, we talked to the FBI, and the FBI said there's no credible evidence that this even is anything behind this. This is a hoax. And, of course, stay vigilant and all that, but, there's nothing behind this at all. But I guarantee you most people didn't even read that far. It was right in the article. But you had HBCUs saying, oh, we got to shut down now. Now, anybody that is familiar with Atlanta, okay, Atlanta, Georgia, and where the colleges are, can I say Howard, dog? Well, Howard, that's another one. Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Atlanta, all of that. In that area, yeah. If you're familiar with that area, it's a war zone. Let's put it that way. That area is a war zone. Okay, outside of the campus, it's a whole war zone out there. But this one incident with Charlie Kirk all the way in Utah, oh my God, black folks are under attack. But the war zone that a lot of these HBCUs are located in, they got to deal with that every day. Howard University, same thing. Washington, D.C., come on now. I mean, it ain't right. It ain't like it's located in Little House on the Prairie. I mean, no, it's a whole freaking war zone. I'm just saying. I mean, it's bad. It ain't bad, but it's still, what I'm saying is that our students take great risk every day going to school. Many of our schools have metal detectors because black folks are bringing guns to school and knives. But Charlie Kirk, this is what I'm trying to say. It's like, can we just, no, don't go there. Don't. Let's just focus on this. Let's just focus on this. That's their stuff. Just let them focus on that. But let's just focus on this. But it's like the whole analogy with telling the child, don't touch the wet paint. What happens? They're going to touch the wet paint. And that's what's happening today. Well, anyway, my goal here on this platform is to get folks to think critically, not critically in the sense of always looking for something bad. I'm trying to get you to use critical thinking. Okay? Critical thinking means you're gonna have some people who are gonna agree, you're gonna disagree, right? but I want you to engage in that, not to just go with the social media thing. This is the problem with social media. I'm on a platform right now. It's listening to me right now as I speak, and it's saying, no, we don't want people to think with critical thinking skills. So we're going to lower, his view count. We're going to make sure not enough people know about this brother here, this dude here, because he's talking about black people using their brain. Well, of course not. Let's lower that. We want to make sure that not too many people. So I have come to accept that. I'm just like, whatever. But guess what? I'm going to keep on talking anyway. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to keep right on talking. But this is what we're dealing with, right? So that is our goal here. It is not to get everybody thinking all on one accord. It is about you using your mind, processing things in a critical manner where you're looking at details, you're asking questions, and you just that's the goal. And if you're doing that, then bravo, keep doing it. I'm your cheerleader here saying keep going. But there are a lot of people who do not do that, and that's who we're here for. So anyway, there is a channel that I would first of all encourage you to, if you are someone who is a critical thinker and you are in the space, and I'm going to talk about, I'll mention our class that we're going to be, the seminar we're going to have next month. But I think this kind of ties into what we're talking about tonight and also this seminar that we're going to be doing. But and this whole whatever, this other stuff that's going on, I think it all ties it in together. But on my timeline, there's a guy, I don't know him personally at all, but he has a great channel. I think it's a good channel. And he talks a lot about deconstruction, like, people who are leaving the church or leaving Christianity. And he has his style and how he does that and all of that. But, he's right on. Like what I'm saying to you is what we're going to, as we're going to look at one of his videos. Do not come out on the other end where I'm like, see, don't listen to him. No, I'm saying, listen to him. We're going to exercise what I just finished saying. But I can also disagree with something he's saying too. But at the same time, I'm saying, hey, this guy also puts out a lot of good stuff. At least he's thinking things through. At least I think he is on a lot of stuff. But on this thing, no. You know what I mean? But, but I think it's a good object lesson. So anyway, the name of the channel is Deconstructing Christianity. And he just posted a video up here. Looks like it was 4 hours ago. We're not going to play the whole video. It's about 10 minutes long, but I'll play enough of it. And if you want to watch the rest of it, that's fine. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, too, is just the madness. I don't know. I'm so tired. I'm tired of this stuff, man. I'm tired of the crowd. I'm tired. I'm so tired. Y'all, I was talking to my son today on TikTok. Have y'all seen these videos? I'm getting to this video. I'm gonna get to the video. It's like everybody says Simon Says. I'm talking people on both sides of this whole the Charlie Kirk experience now. People who were pro him and people were anti him. Have y'all seen these videos of people walking out of their churches and they're like, my preacher didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk. I've been going here for 100 years. And they didn't say nothing about, doggone it, this is the last straw. How dare he not honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk? And I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't get the memo. Maybe I'm missing something here. Is it okay? Then you had people on the other side saying, I've been going here, I've been going to this church for 10 years, 15 years or whatever. And, it's a good support for me. And, it's anointed. They give anointed word. They've been a strong support for me and my family. And they did all of this and that or whatever. And then they said, but this Sunday was different. They said something about Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to have to let everybody know I'm walking out of church. And they're literally walking out of church, holding their phone and just going at it. And I was like, my God, what planet do we live on? But it was like Simon Says, it was like everybody doing the same thing. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. I mean, did you notice that? I was seeing a lot of videos like that. I was like, okay, does anybody like think for themselves these days? Anyway, I saw that and I was just like, okay, this is nuts. But anywho, I don't care where you are on that. Okay. But let me play this video here for you. We're going to look at the first few minutes of it. This guy here, he actually, he has some clear, strong opinions about Charlie Kirk, which personally don't care. But, he wanted to give his input or whatever, but it was something I want you to listen to him. Now, again, this is Deconstructing Christianity. And like I said, one of the things I do like about him is that he does take time and he goes through details and things like that, right? He ain't just saying stuff. He actually takes the time. So that I can really appreciate that about him. But on this topic here, it's going to be really interesting. I want you to watch because he actually, it's not just him. There's other people too, I've noticed on different topics too. So let's go ahead and take a listen, okay?
Charlie Kirk as a hero.
Oh, hold on, let me go back. Here we go.
So because I won't praise Charlie Kirk as a hero, but I consistently have said that I do not think that anyone should have been murdered for their own opinions. I am seeing that there are still people, although they may claim that they have deconstructed from Christianity, they are still very much indoctrinated into the ideas of nationalism, into ideas of political parties. That simply because I, as a black man, will not show sympathy nor empathy for a man who disparages.
And let me stop there. Number one, there was, just to be clear again, there was literally black folks weren't even on the radar when the whole Charlie Kirk thing went down. They weren't even on the radar. And I didn't see anybody was out there pushing black folks and saying, y'all better say something. None of that was happening. It wasn't until black folks felt like we had to put ourselves in the middle of this. And that's when you start seeing all that stuff. Anyway, so no, that was not happening.
People who look like me, for a man who paints a broad brush of violence and racism towards people who look like me, who said, matter of fact, let y'all hear him say it. And then I want you to think whether or not me as a black man should feel some kind of way other than the fact that no one deserves to be murdered about Charlie Kirk.
I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. The Civil Rights Act was a mistake. More cops should be around your neighborhood. Why do blacks have a broken family? White person were to come up and say, black America really needs to get its act together and stop sleeping around all the time, and it needs to actually have monopoly.
Why would you?
Because it's true. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous. There was less break-ins. Black America is worse than it has been
that affected
in the last 80 years. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them? Of course we pander to blacks. They're in every TV commercial, and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
So now this commenter is saying that I am left because I will not support and make into a hero a man who says those types of things and sow discord between people in America, people in this world, that I must be a left, and puts me in a category of then using profanity to describe me, and doesn't want to follow my page anymore. Well, as I told him, do whatever you got to do, because of course you accept and believe that what Charlie Kirk is saying is true. Maybe that's why. And if you feel that way, think that way, you should not be following my page anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there. And like I said, I encourage you, okay? I encourage you to weigh what I'm going to say against if you want to watch the rest of the video, I would highly encourage you to do so, okay? Secondly, again, I have to go through these things here because I want people to understand I do not hate this person. I don't even know his name, quite honestly. His name, his channel is Deconstructing Christianity. Number two, I am encouraging people, if you are someone who's in that place where you are thinking about parting ways with Christianity, I am encouraging you to go and actually subscribe to his channel. Okay. I think all in all, I think a lot of the information he puts out, I think it's pretty good information. You understand? So I want to get all of that out of the way first, because when you're dealing with some people, not saying you, but there's some people out there, the moment they hear that you disagree with somebody, in their minds, they automatically go to extremes and think that, okay, you're dissing him, or you're throwing him under the bus, or you must hate him and this or that or whatever. I am literally not saying any of that at all. Not at all. Okay. But there's something that he's doing here that I think is worth talking about. Now, first of all, let's dig into it. So you notice he played a string of clips that I'm guessing he probably didn't put those clips together. Okay. He put together a string of clips. If you were to take the time, I'm familiar with some of those things he said, Charlie Kirk said. Again, I'm not one that followed him and listened to everything he said, but I have taken the time to inform myself on at least some of those clips that he was that was just played there. And I said, well, let me listen to the whole thing. What was the conversation that was going on? And when he said that, you understand what I'm saying? So that I can get a fuller picture of what was going on there. You understand? That is not saying that I'm on team anybody. I just want to hear the whole picture, right? So one of the things I am familiar with is the one comment, and I've seen people even do videos of this, when he mentioned about, he said, if I go into a plane and, you know, if I see that the cockpit is nothing but black folks in there, I'm going to be wondering if they're qualified. Okay, now that's pretty strong language there, isn't it? That's pretty strong language. I think we can all agree on that. But if you heard the whole conversation, what he was talking about was the DEI thing, and he was talking about affirmative action and all, and I'll get into that in a moment. But here's a much deeper question that I want to ask you. This is something I want, and I presented this. It was the last live that we did. Let me ask you something. I'm gonna give you two examples. A few years ago, there was a movie called Soul Plane. You remember when Soul Plane came out? And it was one of the most disrespectful, I thought, films that was put out in a very long time. This movie, basically, it presented a scenario if black people actually controlled their own airline, or, you know, whatever it was, their airplane or whatever, how it would look. Now, it was comedy, but it was comedy that was built on stereotypes, and stereotypes, you can't do comedy unless it's built on some measure of truth. Any good comedians like that, Dave Chappelle, go down the list. You can't be a good comedian unless it's built on some measure of truth. Now, when that movie came out, there was two groups of black folks that reacted to that. You had some black folks that really liked it, really enjoyed it, thought it was funny, but you also had black folks that said, no, this is disgusting. This is horrible. You understand? But the fact of the matter is okay, so let's put that there. That's part one. Part two and three. I'll give you part 2 and 3. How about that? Because I just thought of another scenario. Spirit Airlines. Do you know how many running jokes are out here right now about Spirit Airlines? Yeah, you know, black folks, we get in that. You know what we gonna do? You know, it's all, you know, we gonna tear it up. We say that all the time, don't we? Now not me, but a lot of black folks, they automatic. You got black folks that will say, if I can get a little bit more coin, I am not taking Spirit Airlines because I know what happens when we get all up in there. Then point number 3, let's look at the latest with the cruise ships. Carnival Cruises literally had to change their laws because they said, y'all can't be coming up in here acting stupid. And when he was saying y'all, people automatically took that as, oh, they just coming against all black folks. No, they were coming after niggas. They were going after them. They weren't saying we don't want any black folks. They said, no, we don't want folks coming up in here and wrecking stuff up. We're tired of that. We don't put billions of dollars in building this stuff and then y'all gonna come in and try to tear it up. Nah. So what I'm saying is, in joke land, I want you to listen to me. In comedy land, what Charlie Kirk said is actually funny. I'm not saying it's funny. Understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's funny. But what I'm saying is that why is it that when we're looking at numbers, when we're looking at facts, it can only be handled within the confines of a comedy central. We can only deal with it when it's comedy. But when someone is talking about this in a sense, and they're like, okay, hey, let me look at these numbers here. According to such and such, black people, this, that, or whatever. Then you get mad. But I'm saying, okay, let's pause for a second. And I mean, is it wrong? You understand what I'm saying? Do you think about that? How many times we got videos out here now, black women, black men, how many times have they come out publicly and said, if I go in the elevator and I see a bunch of black men and they're dressed a certain way, shoot, I'm just going to be honest, I probably ain't going to take that elevator. We say this stuff literally all the time about ourselves. But he says it, now all of a sudden, oh my God, I want his whole family to be executed. What? But we say this stuff all the time. And the bigger question is it wrong? Let's be honest. Can we be honest for a second? So that was the whole plane thing, right? What he was saying. Again, you had to listen to the whole conversation, right? Then he talked about when he said something about affirmative action. They chopped that up because in that he said affirmative action and these people, I think he was talking about black. Well, it's the way they edited it. It made it sound like he was saying black people, particularly black folks who are using affirmative action, they don't have a brain in their head. That's how they chopped it up. That is not what he was saying. If you listen to the whole clip, he was specifically talking about Ketanji Brown. He was talking about, what's her name? Michelle Obama, Joy Reid, and it was another person. He was talking about specific people. Yeah, Ketanji Brown, the Supreme Court justice, the same one when they asked her, what is a woman? She was like, I don't know. I don't know what a woman is. Yeah, that woman. I would have said the same thing. I would have literally said the same thing. But there's a bunch of other things we can go through. Like I said, I'm not doing. I want, what's the name? I want you to be very clear. I want you to be very clear on exactly what you're saying. I'm conflating, okay? I want you to be very clear. Be as descriptive as possible on what you're saying. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere, okay? But I would like to hear that. It's okay to give feedback, but I just want you to be clear, all right? So anyway, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. But here's the thing here. What my man here on this channel, what he's doing the very thing that he's accusing other people of doing. And that is, if you're deconstructing, you're going to take the time to go through and get the whole picture. You ain't going to just make this. You're not going to just draw a conclusion based on edits that you didn't even make. I'm quite confident you didn't even make them. But you heard a few things. You didn't hear the whole context of the conversation. And then you just drew a conclusion like, okay, yeah, he's this or that or whatever. Again, this is not me saying then you take the other way and have to worship and honor this man. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if you're going to give a take on this stuff, and I'm saying this to all the black folks I do love, what I'm saying is this, is that nobody out here, I don't think is saying y'all need to shut up and don't say anything. I haven't heard anybody say that. What I'm saying me now, okay? We're talking to me now. What I want to hear is someone to be very clear on exactly what was said that was so destructive to the livelihoods of black folks that it warrants people to come out and say they wish death on this whole family. I don't care how you fall politically. I don't care about any of that. What I'm trying to do is to get you to think this all the way through. And do you think it's wise for anybody, I don't care who it is, to jeopardize their own livelihood in this market that we're in right now for wishing that kind of stuff publicly? That's what I'm saying. It's not even, trust me, I'm not trying to get anybody to get on anybody's team. I'm simply trying to get people to think it all the way through. And I think, in all honesty, this gentleman here, he just naturally, for whatever reason, he doesn't like him, but what he presented were edits that were clearly, and like I said, I'm familiar with some of those quotes that were clearly taken way out of context, because since nobody else would tell me, I said, well, let me hear it myself. Let me listen to him. Let me hear everything he was saying. And then after I heard it, I was like, well, I mean, it is what it is, but let me pause there for a second. Let me see what Only is saying here. Let's put it up here. Okay, so they're saying, okay, I mean, the pilots won't be dressed like those elevator guys, Droopy Panther. When we joke, we denigrate ourselves a bit too much, but when it's time for action, like Michael Jackson. And thank you, Only, for taking the time. This is what I'm talking about. Just put it out there. Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, when it comes time to get things done, black folks are on peak. And when you say on peak, what do you mean exactly by that? What do you mean by that? Because I don't know, as far as Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, I don't know, I don't know what you mean by that. So if you can explain that further, that would be great. Okay. Yeah, no, but you do see the fact that we take things like this that are very serious, that are discussed in these types of forums, but there's always this pushback. Do you understand? It was the video I did the other day. There was a video I did the other day. I just pointed out one little thing. You know how much I was getting pushback from people. I'm like, why are we arguing about? Oh, it was the video about the young girl who shot her mom. This is a young black girl, 16 years old. They had an argument and she decides to get a gun and shot and killed her mother, black mother. And I was just saying, we are, as black folks, we are our own biggest threat. It ain't anybody else. We are our own biggest threat. And people didn't want to hear that. You have people that literally didn't want to hear that. See, you must be a tool. A tool of what? You understand what I'm saying? So you literally have to fight your own just to get, I'm saying, and this person was going back and forth. You can go back and look at, they were going back and forth, talking about how black folks don't have power to handle business in their own homes. Yes, this is the mindset that's out here. So anyway, let me take a look at one more thing and say Michael Jordan. Let me see what else they say here. I mean, when black folks take the time to learn a craft and perform, they do it really well. Okay, that's true. But all right, but what I'm talking about is when we're discussing problems, issues, like, for example, making light of single parented homes, for example, where in comedies that's funny, right? We make light, it's funny of that. We think it's a joke. It's funny to talk about single parented homes. It's funny to talk about gay people. It's funny to talk about, someone getting AIDS or something like that. It's funny when we talk about that, right? But when we're discussing that issue, where we're talking about, for example, the extremely high rate of our people, black folks, who are getting HIV, when we're talking about that in a serious forum, people automatically get defensive, or they blame or deflect and say, oh, it's their fault. It's the white people that's going and sneaking in our rooms at night and injecting us with HIV. And it's like, no, you just can't control your peen. Can we talk about that? Your inability to control your peen, that needle, you can't control that one. Well, see, no, it's not that. When during that time, I can't tell you the amount of conversations I had with against white people now. White folks were saying this. They were telling me in my face, this is years ago, telling me in my face that black folks were too ignorant to go get a contraceptive. And I'm sitting up here like, okay, so you're trying to make an argument that a black person can't go get a contraceptive, but somehow white people can figure that out. And that's how the AIDS thing kind of, I said, I ain't saying this to me with a straight face. But here's the thing that was more disappointing was that you had black folks saying, yeah, you're right. We all kind of too ignorant to put that on. And I was like, what? So I'm having to fight two fronts. White folks that are saying that we're too dumb and stupid to do this, and then black folks agreeing with them because it gives them cover, to take any kind of like, okay, we need to deal with this. Oh man, honey, baby, child, I've been dealing with this for years. For years, I have been doing this. And the various people I've come across and trying to, man, I can tell you stories. They don't turn my mic off. I was trying to get into this. It was a radio station in Florida. I was trying to get into this, and next thing I know, I started hearing the music coming on, and everybody started laughing. They say, all right, and here I'm trying to rush to get onto this program because they called me and they was like, hey, we want you to get on this show. We want you to say this, that, or whatever. And we want to hear your point of view on this or that or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's it. Then when I start getting into this, all of a sudden now the music went up. They started laughing. They say, oh, well, you look at the time. We got to go. The stories I could tell you on this. So, yes. So, because I don't, like I said, again, this whole thing, it does give me the ick. I'm going to be honest with you because I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of seeing how you take this one issue, which is unfortunate that happened. And now it's like everybody in the world has got to be, he's the plumb line now of either you with us or you're not. That whole thing, it's like, no, you know what I mean? But no, nobody, and please, this is for the umpteenth time, black folks, please, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone, okay? Can we just focus on the things that are more important? This leads me to another thing here, okay? And this is the other thing. There is a town in Arizona by the name of Surprise, Arizona. I've never been there, but my suspicion is the reason why it's called Surprise is because you'll be surprised that if you found a black person in that town. I mean, because it ain't known for having a lot of black folks up in there. Okay, that's fine, whatever. I don't care. I don't think it's a requirement to have a certain amount of black people anywhere, whatever. Don't care. Okay, that's just what it is, right? But there was a theater that, I don't know, there was a bunch of kids in here, y'all. There was a bunch of kids up in there. It's a theater. I can bring up the article. You can look it up. And there was a bunch of kids in there. They're watching whatever. It was a movie, whatever. Obviously they were watching a movie. Y'all, ain't no black folks up in there. But one. One comes up in there in this overwhelming majority white town. He goes into the theater and decides to whip out his peen and start peeing. Yes, pissing. And he was pissing on the children. I'm not making this up. Y'all can look this up. He started peeing on the children. And when I tell you they gave that dude a royal beat down, they gave him a royal beat down, and rightfully so. Them folks went off on him. They went off. So much so they had to turn the lights on in the movie. I would play it for you now, but YouTube will probably, do something, whatever. You can't show violence. But all I saw was fists. I mean, that guy didn't even have a chance. Why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? Hear me out on this. Because when we don't, I'm saying we as a so-called community, when we don't handle our own in-house business, someone else is going to do it. It's just as simple as that. I'm going to keep saying that. You're dealing with some deranged mental stuff that's going on with this dude, clearly, to do something like that. But throw his behind in jail first. But, what I'm saying is that what's happening now, and it's been going on for some time. It's like my mom, she shared this story. It was a while back. And she was talking about this, she was talking about something, and she was saying how when you have a sore on your hand, right? And if you don't properly take care of it, instead you just keep wrapping it and wrapping it and wrapping it, what happens? It's pretty soon, and you're not putting anything on it. You're just like, oh, child, let me just put a Band-Aid on it. Okay, let me put another one on it. You're not rinsing it off. You're not putting anything on it to kill the bacteria and all that other stuff. Instead, you just keep bandaging it over and over again. What happens? That thing after a while is going to get infected, and what's going to happen? The pus is going to start coming out, and it's going to start coming into other things. It's going to start infiltrating other parts of your body, right? What I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that is where we are. Because there isn't enough effort, there is effort, but we need more of it to address these things that we've been talking about, such as mental health, general health and wellness. If we're not prioritizing those things, what's going to happen is it's going to leak into other areas. It's going to leak into other communities. And we all have seen this. We've all have seen this. But we sit back and be like, well, I don't know what to say. I know what to say. No, it starts at home. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's just one case. I told you about another case in Queen Creek. There was another one. Ain't hardly no black folks out there. But this one dude decides he's working in a young women's I don't know if it was like a battered home. It was like one of those things where young women that are at risk or whatever. Well, this black dude, he just happened to be working in there. I don't know why they have men in there. I mean, I kind of understand, but And the dude is having sex with one of the people. And guess what the white girl did? Of course, she's going to report it, which she should have. But I'm sitting up here like, again, these little things that happen. And then the other thing I told you about the issue. Now, this is further south. This is 3 cases I'm giving you here in Arizona. Further south near the border, when you're getting down further south, small town, there was a little bus stop there. White couple, they're just sitting there waiting for the bus. Here comes a black guy out of nowhere. Again, ain't hardly no black folks out here. He had a machete and whacked this guy to death. So what I'm saying to you, these are little stories that I'm just giving to you, that if you take the time and take an honest look, there's a lot of stories out like that. We don't like talking about it. I know. We don't like talking about it. But when you keep wrapping things up, instead of just having these honest conversations head on, without the comedy, without all that other stuff, it's going to continue to leak, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to continue to leak. It's going to continue to happen. So we look for different things to tuck it in. You got stuff going on over here, and it's like getting out of control. All of a sudden, the Charlie Kirk thing comes up. Okay, let's get behind that. See, Charlie Kirk, he's the problem here. Meanwhile, it's still leaking. Trump says something off. See, it's Trump. He's a racist son of a, whatever. Okay, you focused on that, but it's still leaking. You're still falling in the same pit over and over again that you don't have to. Okay? You don't have to fall. You don't have to keep falling for these things. Social media in of itself is a pit. It is. That's why I had that on the thumbnail. And if you're not careful, and it's designed to keep you there. Okay? It's designed to keep you in this loop where you just forever staying in this tumble over and over again, where you just keep tumbling, keep tumbling, keep tumbling, keep tumbling, and that's it. I was gonna play for you tonight. There's a let me see what Jennifer's saying here. Let me see what Jennifer's saying. She said, you can't psychoanalyze a demonic spirit in people. You can go to counseling, but what does that do? It doesn't get rid of these spirits. Just saying, yeah, I mean, it could be a spirit or something, but okay, if it's a demon, then put it in demon jail. How about that? Okay, if we're gonna say it's a demon, then build a demon jail and put the demon in there. How about that? Because the laying on the hands, Jennifer, you and I both know that ain't working. You know what I'm saying? You got little kids and, some of these grown folks that go around and acting like devils and all that. Okay, then build demon jail. Okay, put them in demon jail. But they do not need to be walking around on Main Street. They don't need to be in our neighborhoods. They don't. I don't care who they are. You understand? So the point of all of this so far, what we're saying is this. Y'all, when these stories come up, they are gift wrapped and designed to get you into this cycle thinking where you're just, at the end of it, you don't expel all this energy for what? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And this is and like I said, going back to that, deconstructing Christianity again, I just think, again, he did not, the very thing he was accusing other people of doing, he is kind of doing himself. You're deliberately taking things out of context, and and that's not cool. You know what I mean? And I'll be more than happy if he wanted to have some kind of dialogue with it. I would be more than happy to do so, but I'm not, but it would be very friendly. I don't have any reason to be mad or angry or anything at all with this dude, but that is a bit not right. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. But anyway, let me see. There was another, let me just pull this up right quick here, because I'm not going to keep you. What's my time here? Okay, let me pull this up right quick on my on our community page right here, which is right here. Our Breaking the Chains, the journey beyond belief. This is, like I told you, it all ties in together here, because he talks about deconstruction and all that. And I encourage people, hey, make sure you subscribe to him if that's something that you're looking, road you're looking down. This one here is the same thing. Okay. Now, this is a class that we're doing. This is, I'll just get through this real quick, and then I got one other thing, and that's it. Yeah, you could read this, but basically a lot of people have been asking. We have a ton of videos on YouTube right now that are free, obviously, and you can listen to Nicole and I, our whole journey, and how we went through Christianity, how we went through, the Hebrew Israelite stuff and all of that. And it's all out here. It's, if you want to watch it, but what we decided to do, is to package it into a one-day seminar. This will be about 4 to 5 hours long. So it's going to be quite intensive. And basically the highlights are going to be, starting, we're going to look at the main pillars of the Bible, right? The main pillars of the Bible, the claims of the Bible, and we're going to measure it against factual history. Right. This is going to be one part of it. Right. We're going to look at the claims, the different claims, and, from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And then we're going to, let's see. Yeah. Like the claims, like the healing of the sick and raising of the dead, the claims about tithes and offerings and all that kind of stuff. And as we're sharing this, Nicole and I, or mostly it's going to be me, I'm going to be interweaving our thought process at that moment as we were discovering these things, right? And then, there'll be plenty Q&A. We're also going to have an opportunity, we're also going to have a time where we're going to be talking about, I know one of the big discussions from people who are still in the church world is leaving a church. I understand that completely. If you've been a part of a church for a very long time and you're at the point where you're like, I want to leave, but I just don't know how to leave. Well, we're going to have that conversation too. Same thing with those of you who, let's say you have been that Bible person in your whole family for years and years and years, and your whole family has always mocked you for it. Now, all of a sudden, you're finding that you're having some questions. And, okay, how do I handle that? Because it's going to sound like I'm a hypocrite and all of that kind of stuff. We're going to talk through that as well. Leaving the church, dealing with your family. And then we're also going to talk about, a lot of times people endure spiritual abuse, when they are in the church or trying to leave one. There's a lot of manipulation that goes on there. And trust me, I've been through it myself, where they tell you must sit down with your pastor and all that. A lot of times you don't need to sit down with your pastor. A lot of times you just need to leave, because a lot of times when you do that, you're going through a secondhand abuse by doing that. And that's a lot of trauma that in many cases people need to get professional help with. And so we're going to talk about that as well and why that's important and get through that as well. So it's going to be filled with a lot of things. All right. And the goal of it is not to get you to, if you hear all of this and you're like, I don't want to leave, I still going to stick with my church. Fine, stick with it. No, you're not, there's no enemies here. But if you are, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, the goal is to get you to think about these things in a critical manner. You've been standing on a lot of claims, right? We're going to take this time and we're going to look at those from a factual perspective. And then we're going to also provide you everything, because we're going to be covering a lot of information. You're going to get a whole booklet of everything we talk about with notes and references and everything that will be included. And then in addition to that, I will create like a Facebook group or something like that for people who just, it's just that ongoing, support, that kind of thing, right? Not to create a Bible study. We're not trying to steer you into any kind of belief system, nothing like that at all. It's just, it's okay to have questions. It's okay to think about these things. And that's what we want to create, a safe space where you can do that. You know what I mean? And however you turn out on the other side, that's up to you. It's completely up to you. But we just want to say, hey, listen, here's an opportunity for you. And many of you said, hey, I'll be interested in that. Well, here's your opportunity. So we have a early bird sign up that you can do right now. If you want to do it, I would do it during the early bird season, because once that's over, it's over. And but yeah, so just check that out. The link is there right there on our community page. And I'm looking forward to doing that. So it's going to be there for y'all. And it will be something that you can always go back to. And if you want to watch the replay and all that, for those that pay for the class or whatever, you will always have access for that. So, so I'm very excited about that, because now we want to have something that we can just point people to and say, here, check that out. You know what I mean? Again, I stress this. The goal of this is not to convert you into any kind of belief system or anything like that. It's to get you to start using this when it comes to your belief system, right? That's the goal. That's it. And so I wanted to mention that as well. We talked about that. So we talked about what we talked about tonight. There was something else that I wanted to mention. I mentioned the class. Let's see. Oh, I did this too. I'll mention this too, because every now and then I'll drop certain things when I get a little extra time. This was a report that I put together. It's called "The Other Music: The Darker Side of Black American Export." Of a Black American export. What we did was I actually looked at all hip hop songs that over the years, starting all the way back from the 80s to the present, that promoted violence. And this is just a study reference. I'm just giving you the name of the song, the artist, and that kind of stuff. And it's just a reference. That's it. That's all. That's all there is to it. I wrote like a whole introduction or whatever, but this right here is a PDF. You can download it. It's free of charge, like that. So that's why I encourage people, make sure you tracking us on our community page, because we put this kind of every now and then when I get time, I'll put together like a little PDF report for you on different topics, so that, again, you can take that information, process it, however you wish or whatever. So yeah, so that's that. And what I'm working on right now is looking at, I'm doing a deep analysis of a lot of these fight videos. That's another thing too, because again, I'm about repair work. You know, what's happening right now, and this is how we're going to end this video this evening, this broadcast, is being honest. Like I said, it's if you want to repair something, you first got to see what needs to be repaired, right? What's broken. Then you got to look at what is working, right? And so one of the things that I'm looking at right now is the percentage of videos that are being uploaded on a daily basis that show us black folks fighting one another. It's a hard research because there are platforms that don't even want to count that stuff, but it is a major thing. Now, let's look when you talk about, you know, I'm trying to do it as fair, balance, and all of that as much as I can, because here's the thing. If I were to go into Europe, if I was to go into Asian country, most of the fight videos that you see are going to be of whatever that population is. But when you look at American culture, unfortunately, many of the, not all, but many of the videos that show people fighting one another, unfortunately, are black folks, right? So we need to get the data on that as much as we can. And so that's what I'm looking at. Now, what we do know is that a lot is, number one, social media, as I said before, is about promoting things that they believe is going to be clickable. So when you see somebody fighting, or you see somebody yelling, or you see somebody that decide to take their clothes off or whatever, social media, the way it's constructed, it's going to automatically promote those things. So it gives us an illusion that, oh, everybody must think that, right? So you got that part you got to deal with, right? That social media by default is promoting some of these things that it doesn't reflect the whole population, right? But on the other side, you have to also look at the fact that, okay, how are these videos being acquired by social media? Well, in most cases, many of these videos that are being uploaded aren't being uploaded by the KKK or, you know, any other white supremacists. Many of these videos that are being uploaded by other black folks. You understand what I'm saying? So the things I'm talking about, like these little things I'm doing here, these are studies. When I don't see a study on it, I'm like, I'll do a study on it. Let me dig into it. And so like what I just said to you just now, there is no like study on this. So I'm like, let me find tools where we can dig in this stuff and look into it so that we can get a better understanding of this and how do we fix this and how we eradicate this kind of stuff, right? So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking into right now. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, so that's all. So family, again, people, just you got to take care of you. Take care of you. Take care of your emotions. This stuff that's going on right now, this latest wave of BS that's going on right now, focus on you right now. Okay. All this other stuff, it is designed to get you into a whole nother place of just worry, doubt, fear, anger, and all of that. But the end result is nothing. I want to see y'all build up to where you can withstand that kind of stuff and be focused on things that really do matter. Right. So that's what we're here about. That's why we're here to help us to focus on those things, right? So that's it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you, as always, for joining me this evening. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. You guys take care. And yeah, we will be talking again soon. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you check us out again on sombertree.com. All right? You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon.